Hello, welcome back to another episode of Quarantine Kitchen Quick Fix. As stated in a couple of my other episodes, a quick fix is one of my recipes that's totally compliant and delicious that I want to share with you, but it's not quite big enough for a full episode. Today I'm going to show you overnight oats. Now, a couple of things. I'm not an overnight oat fan. Because I don't like cold, groggy oatmeal. I prefer it warm. But then I realized that you can actually cook overnight oats. So I heat mine up in the morning, but it's nice to be able to just pop it on the stove and have flavored oatmeal, the closest thing to instant I can get. The other thing is, because I'm gluten-free, and if you are a gluten-free viewer, you must make sure that your oats are gluten-free. It will actually say on the package, certified gluten-free. Now, in general, oats do not contain gluten. They do not. Oats are a gluten-free food item. But because oats are a grain that is often processed with barley and wheat, cross-contamination can happen. So if you're a celiac in particular, oats may give you a problem if they're not certified gluten-free. So with all that said, I actually love oats. I eat them often. I do get the gluten-free kind. And yeah, I use oats in my bread. I use a lot of oat flour in my bread. I use sweet potato flour, that sort of thing. So without further ado, we're going to get started. You will need a container that seals. I'm going to be using a jar that I've yet to find another use for. You can, in fact, use like a Tupperware container. A lot of people do for your oats. But it needs to contain at least a cup and a half of material. So, you're going to start with a half cup of oats, obviously, as a base. A half cup of dairy-free milk. I'm using my sugar-free almond, almost out of it, and when I'm done, I'm going to switch to oat milk, and I'm going to make my own. Stay tuned for that recipe. Now, it says 1-to-1. I actually prefer more liquidy oats, so I go for 3/4 of a cup instead of half cup like the recipe calls for. It's all a matter of what proportions you like. I actually may end up adding more depending on what toppings I put in. And then we're going to go with 3/4 of a tablespoon of chia seed. I'm using flaxseed today because I've got them and I need to use them, and my grinder's broken, so I can't make flaxseed meal. Important note, flax seeds are great for making flaxseed egg. The flaxseed whole is very difficult for your body to digest. So usually it won't. It'll go straight through. Chia seeds, however, add an exceptional amount of protein and fiber to a diet. Okay, that's the base of the overnight oats. Now, how you flavor them is completely up to you. I'm going to be making apple cinnamon, like my apple pie flavor. So I'm going to be adding honey, cinnamon, and about half of this green apple, and the other half I'm going to enjoy right after the video. It's honey to taste. I'm probably going to add about a tablespoon. I feel like that'll be plenty because the cinnamon and the apple will also add flavor. An unmeasured amount of cinnamon. However much I love cinnamon, so I'm going to add quite a bit. I add a lot of cinnamon in my life. Mix that together. Can you see what I'm doing? Can you see the texture and everything? My jar's a little big. I'll have to get a smaller one. I usually use Tupperware, but I'm trying to find a use for this jar. And then we're going to cut up the apple and put that in there as well. I'm going to use about half of it. I use a Granny Smith apple because I like Granny Smith apples. It's just my personal preference. Obviously, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm chopping an apple, guys. Literally it. And then after you have everything in there and you seal it, this is going to go into the fridge overnight, hence the name, overnight oats. And then in the morning, you can eat it cold if you prefer. I don't like cold oats, so I'm going to heat mine up. But then it's ready, and I don't have to fight with myself in the morning going, what am I going to have for breakfast? It's nice to have something just there. And if you're meal planning, trying to lose weight, having everything counted out and ready to go also helps with temptation for me. I don't have to worry about, what if I give in at breakfast time? You can't, because it's ready. It's there. Don't waste food. There we go. We're going to mix it all together. I'm going to add a little bit more moisture, and the reason I say that is because, as I said at the beginning of the video, I like moist oats. Okay. And it's going to swell. The flax is going to swell. The oats are going to swell. It'll probably fill up the jar, to be honest, because there is quite a bit of swelling that happens. And I like moisture in my oats. So to make sure everything is covered and well mixed together. Smells really good. Top it. And that goes into the fridge. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to cook it in a pan. If you are not a cooker, if you're not a cooker, you can just eat it straight out of the jar. That's how most people do it. That's the overnight oats thing. But for me, I'm going to heat it up on the stove, and then I'll have my apple pie oats in the morning. Super simple way to get meal prepped, especially if you're in a rush. No one is at the moment with quarantine unless you're an essential worker. If you are, thank you for everything you do. But it's easy. It takes just a few minutes to prep at night when you're wide awake, and then in the morning, if you're like me and like to sleep in, your meal is ready to go. All right, guys, thanks for everything and happy cooking.